I've got the way too early top 10 college football list for 2020 in this show. You're going to want to hear that. My picks for UFC 246, Cowboy Cerrone versus Conor McGregor. Zion Williams scheduled to come back for his NBA debut January 22nd. And who should replace fired Red Sox manager Alex Cora? I have the answer. The number one guy, the only guy that the Red Sox should be going after. You did it. You found the show that helps you be smarter than your friends when it comes to sports. Let's start the show.
You're tuned in to the hottest sports analysis of the week with your hosts Ron Dolbeck and Chris Roberts. And now, here's the first round.
It's a great Wednesday night. Thank you, all of you out there, for joining us here in the first round. We've got UFC, we've got college football wrap-up show, we have NFL playoffs. So much stuff going on in the world of sports, and a lot of times, Chris, when I say that, there's a lot we're going to talk about, but there's literally a lot going on. We're going to cover it all here in our St. Jude studios with my host, Chris Roberts. Chris, tell me something about life.
Man, life is good, but I tell you what, man, that guy Antonio Brown, I'm so glad my life is better than his right now.
I'm going to get into Antonio Brown. Who's worse right now? AJ Hinch, Alex Cora, or Antonio Brown? You got to be one of them for the next 2 years. You don't want to be Antonio Brown,
I don't
right?
want to be that guy, but I don't want to be neither any one of them. Any one of them, man. I mean,
I don't either. You know, there is so much going on in the world of sport. We watched the college football playoff here the other day with a bunch of guys came over, beers, food. This was one of the best college football games that I've seen in years. It's probably the best game this year. The second best game would be Clemson and Ohio State. I thought the national championship lived up to everything that we thought it was going to be. Clemson gets out to a big lead. LSU is down. You don't know if they're going to bounce back. The LSU that we've seen all year. Then they show us what they really are. Take over the game. Ups, downs, not too many turnovers. Not a lot of big blown calls. I mean, it had everything there. Scoring, great defensive plays, some hard hits. I just thought it had everything.
Yeah, it did, man. I thought I was watching a rematch of the Kansas City game, the way LSU came back and took that score. I mean, I thought it was a rematch, man.
I did. I just thought it was an amazing game. That's only one of the things that's going on in the world of sports. So let's get to everything that is pricking my mind today that I think is interesting going on in the world of sports. And we're going to start it right off the bat with college football. LSU gets it done. 42-25 over number 3 Clemson. Clemson doesn't have anything to hang their head about, but this might be the best college football champion that I've seen in my lifetime. And Chris, you know I'm 22 years old, so that's going back a long way. Chris and I are going to talk about this game, break it down, talk about how LSU and Clemson size up for 2020, along with my way too early top 10 list of college football teams for 2020. Major League Baseball, Alex Cora is out. AJ Hitch is out. Jeff Lunau, the GM at Houston, out. Mr. Beltran, the new manager for the New York Mets, he might be the next one on the chopping block, all because of this scandal with electronic cheating and sign stealing in Major League Baseball. Chris and I will talk about that. How about NFL? There's more than games going on this weekend, but the two big stories in NFL right now, Tennessee going on the road to Arrowhead. This is the second year in a row that Kansas City will host the AFC Championship game. Can they get it done? I've got the answer for you. Green Bay goes on the road to my Super Bowl winner, my pick for this year, the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're a complete team. Barring a Jimmy Garoppolo turnover fest, I just think they're a super solid team. I think this is going to be a tough game. San Francisco's given 7.5 points. Is that too much? I'm going to let you know. Stay tuned for that. Luke Kuechly, big news out of the NFL. Massive, awesome linebacker for the Carolina Panthers. Calls it quits. You know, we're seeing this more and more and more. All the young players that are retiring early. I've got a list of them and reasons why I think he walked away. I commend him. How about Jason Garrett? He's got an interview with the New York G-Men to take over their offensive coordinator position. And Antonio Brown. Did any of you catch this on social media? The blow-up. He's got Hollywood police, 5 cars, outside of his mansion. He's getting into a verbal altercation, and that's putting it mildly, with the mother of his children over custody issues. Did any of you see this blow-up? If you didn't, I have the details, I have opinions, and I have a very sad postscript for Antonio Brown because I can't see any path for him getting back into the NFL. This is one of the most interesting stories this week, along with Tom Brady. I've got big news at what happened at Gillette Stadium yesterday, what happened with him and Giselle and his family today. Is he going to be back with the Patriots? I'm a big Patriots fan. I've got the answer for you, or at least my opinion. MMA, UFC 246, Donald Cerrone, Cowboy, going up against Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor hasn't fought in about 9 months. What Conor are we going to get? I've got my thoughts and my predictions. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And having said all that, Chris, I'm almost out of breath. And thank God I brought something cold to drink onto the set. Because I need it. I have my Irish flag out for UFC 246 covering the desk.
I see.
We took down the Red Sox pennant. They're not world champions anymore. More recent than the Yankees, though. And we have our Irish flag up there. So we've got Irish colors behind it. I got my Irish shirt on. I'm an Irish guy. Did you notice?
I noticed, but I see that.
I'm not wearing a hat tonight.
No cap. But see, that whole not having a pennant thing. See that we can get in there later.
You're going to have to take that hat off in a minute
because into that later.
What's this right here? There's a $100 bill right there. We're starting a new segment. It's Trivia with Chris. If you answer this trivia question correctly, you're going to win $100.
All right.
We don't talk about what the question's going to be about, but if you don't, for the rest of the show, you're going to have to wear a piece of garb, some kind of sports memorabilia, something, a hat, a jersey, a helmet. You never know what I'm going to make you wear if you don't get it right. Are you ready for your question?
Let's see what you got tonight.
Only two coaches. Only two coaches to win a Super Bowl and a Rose Bowl. You've got 10 seconds. Go.
A Super Bowl and a Rose Bowl? Ooh, let's see.
5,
4, 3, 2, 1. I'm out.
You're out. Okay, you're going to have to lose that hat right now and put on something that looks a little bit better. How about Dick Vermeil and Pete Carroll? I thought that was a softball, man.
Well, Pete Carroll, yeah, should have got that one.
I didn't even go really hard on you.
Yeah, I didn't think about Dick Vermeil.
The upside was $100 in cash, which is going to remain right here on the St. Jude desk
I'll catch you next week.
until Sunday when we're back here live on YouTube. And I'll have another trivia question for you. You'll have another chance to bounce back. Let's get right back into college football right now. I'm going to wait until you put on that. There you go. You look so much. Your IQ just went up 50 points.
Boom.
50 points. Your IQ just went up. Changing out that clown hat that you were wearing for something a little more tasteful. It smells like winter to me. I like that. So let's get into LSU and Clemson. That was a great game. Was there any point of that game that was disappointing to you?
No, it really wasn't. I mean, it lived up to the hype. Clemson, LSU's offense was just, it showed why they were the number one team in the nation.
I absolutely agree. When the game started, you and I had talked about how Clemson had the number 3 defense in the country. They had the number 2 offense, and I thought they were going to be able to keep it close.
Right.
I said LSU would win 35-28. I was off by a touchdown. I was pretty close.
Right.
But Joe Burrow, if I said Joe Burrow is going to go for 463, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, and have a QBR rating of 86 against that defense, what would you have said to me before the game?
You're crazy, right? I wouldn't have believed that. Just simply the way Clemson has played the whole year. I would have thought he would have had a high QBR that high. Not in that game anyway.
Not against that defense. I wouldn't have said that. But that's exactly what happened. How about running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire, 16 rushes for 110 yards. Wide receiver Jamar Chase, 9 receptions for 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. On the other side, Justin Jefferson, 9 more receptions, 106 yards. I think this was all about LSU and not Clemson failing or Clemson falling apart. It's too much pressure for Clemson. I just think this whole season, this whole game, every bit of narrative this year is just about Clemson, about LSU and how great they are. Listen to these stats. I'm putting LSU up there in the pantheon of teams and maybe the top 2 or 3 teams of all time in college football. And I'm going to tell you why. They get a win against a top 10 team in Texas, at Texas, when Texas was ranked 9th. Then they get Florida coming to Death Valley. They beat Florida when Florida was ranked 7th by 14 points. They take out Auburn when Auburn was ranked 9th. They go to Alabama when they were ranked 3rd, beat them. They beat I think a pretty decent Texas A&M team, who ended up 8-5 on the season with a winning record, won their bowl game, beat them 50-7. Then they played in a neutral site game against number 4 Georgia, took them to the woodshed 37-10. Then they beat number 4 Oklahoma. I mean, it's getting ridiculous, right?
Right.
Destroyed them in a neutral site game 62-28. Then they beat the number 3 Clemson team number 3 in the country. All these top 10 teams that they beat, except Texas A&M, they beat Clemson by 17.
Yeah.
It's amazing. They beat 7 teams this year that when they played them were ranked in the top 10. To me, that is amazing. I've never seen anything like it. They have to be absolutely, the lowest I could put them was 3 out of all-time teams in college football. And I'd be really hard pressed to find 2 teams that I thought were overall better than this LSU team.
Me too. I'm just going to go ahead and put them at number 1. You've never seen an offense this explosive before. I haven't, in my years of watching college football, I've never seen an offense this explosive playing against, this type of competition. I mean, you look at those teams that scoring points like that, you look at probably a Hawaii playing against BYU or something like that. You see scores like that, but to see a team that dominant against this type of competition, it's hard pressed to not have them be like the number 1 team.
They held the number 2 offense in the country.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely insane. Like, I'm not even a big LSU homer or an SEC homer. They held the number 2 offense to 25 points.
Yeah.
And they stalled a drive, which with a minute left to go in the game, at the 3 or 4 yard line. They could have punched it in and ran it up even more, and I'm glad they didn't. That was a really class move. Number 9, number 7, number 9, at number 3, beat Texas A&M. Neutral site game, beat number 4, destroyed number 4 Oklahoma, destroyed number 3 Clemson. 7 teams in the top 10. It's absolutely, it's sick. It's sick how good they are. The only way that they could get better is if their defense was ranked a little higher than 30th in the country. But, I think one of the reasons why they're ranked 30th is because the offense is scoring so much. The defense is out there playing defense. So you're giving the other teams so many more opportunities to score the ball.
You look at that defense. It showed when it's rested. That defense is actually pretty good. They were physical on Clemson's receivers. I'm not used to seeing Clemson's receivers being out physical on the outside. You see the guys, generally they leverage on the out, try to leverage the inside, and they have outside releases. But LSU was able to overpower them, and basically those outside throws that Trevor Lawrence was used to getting, he couldn't make those throws in the game. And that just goes to show you. When this defense is rested, they're pretty good.
They're better than pretty good, and the offense is one of the best I've ever seen. I'm putting up there with the Pete Carroll, Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart offenses at USC. I'm putting it up there with some of the Florida squads that we've seen that were explosive under Spurrier and under Urban Meyer. I have absolutely no criticisms and nothing bad to say about this. The highlight of the game was, which was better, the celebration after the game or what Odell Beckham did after the game? Get into that, man. I want to hear about it because I saw it on social media.
Well, if you hate LSU, you will love what Odell Beckham did after the game. If you hate LSU, who does that? Who walks around and hands out $100 bills
Wads of cash.
on television.
It wasn't like he was handing out one $100 bill. He had wads of cash that he was handing out to the LSU players.
And he was.
I mean, I knew I should have signed a letter of intent to play at LSU.
It's funny though. I mean, because LSU puts out a statement. Oh, that was fake money. Joe Burrow.
Yeah, right.
Joe Burrow goes on Barstool.
What the actual hell are you talking about? That's fake. That's such garbage.
Like, seriously. So Joe Burrow goes on, does an interview, says, well, since I'm not a college athlete anymore, that was real money he was handing out.
Yeah, exactly. That was real money. Who's buying that garbage?
Tell me about it.
Get out of here.
And so Ed Ogeron, of course, he's denying it. I didn't know
this
anything
is just
about
cover
it.
your butt.
But, I mean, if you look at when he's handing out this cash, he's talking to one of the receivers. I told you what I was going to do. I told you what I was going to do. And I'm like, what are you doing? You just incriminated yourself on national TV. You have a CNN anchor, Corey, whatever, walking up trying to talk to him.
It blew him off. I saw that.
Really
I'm going to tell you a Las Vegas story, and I don't get into a lot of Las Vegas stories. I was at a club out there, one of my favorite clubs called Hakkasan, and you have to buy a booth, and the booths go from like $20,000, and then if you're out in Peanut Gallery, which isn't even that bad, they're around $5,000. And I was in the middle section, and I was looking down, and this guy had a $10,000 or $20,000 booth. He literally sits down. There's everybody in his booth is sitting. He stands up on the table where they have all the alcohol. Hand to God, true story on my kid's grave. He opens up a briefcase, and it's just stacks. It's just like in the movies. He takes out a stack about that thick.
Right.
And he just starts throwing it all over the place. And when I saw after the game with Odell Beckham did whap, I was like, man, I've seen that before, but this is crazy.
It is crazy. But I know one thing, Odell, doing stuff like that, I better not ever see you in one of these ESPN 30 for 30 brokes, because I'm going to go back. Remember when?
Well, he signed that big contract last year. I don't know if he's going to be broke. I'll tell you three guys right now going to Major League Baseball that are hoping to get a contract, not even a huge contract. I'm talking about A.J. Hinch, Alex Cora, and Jeff Luhnow, the former general manager of the Houston Astros. So to get you guys up to speed, I'm sure most of you have heard about what's going on. They were using electronics in center field, honing in on the catcher and the pitches he was calling, the pickoff plays and everything, and then relaying that information to the dugout live in games. Now, stealing signs is not illegal in baseball, but if you do it electronically, a hole is going to open up underneath your feet and you're falling right into hell, and that's just exactly what's going to happen. So A.J. Hinch gets called into the owner's box, the owner's office, and yesterday, and he gets fired. Yeah. And well, he got suspended first. Suspended for a year.
Right.
And then an hour later, he got fired.
Yeah.
Then his general manager, Jeff Newell, gets fired. Yeah. And then you start looking, well, wait a minute. Alex Cora was tied to this the year before. And the rumblings start on social media and on Twitter and on ESPN. And then he gets fired. Right. Now they're talking about the new manager for the Mets, Beltran. He was a player back then. Right. He was involved. And at first, Major League Baseball said, look, we're looking for the managers that were involved in this, not necessarily the players. But I think the players are going to get involved in this. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think Beltran is out as manager of the Mets in the next 2 days.
I think he's out too. But see, Alex Cora, I have an issue with Alex Cora. Not only did he, do what he did, but now he's trying to implicate my team. Now, we have an issue there. Basically, I don't know if you heard his press conference talking about Carlos Beltran when he was with the Yankees. He was like, the Yankees, the best pickup they had was Carlos Beltran, wink, wink, because of the whole cheating scandal. He was basically, trying to say that, hey, he's in on it too, and, he may have bought the same thing over there to that team over there too. Maybe that team was cheating as well.
Wow.
Come on, man. Got to do better than that.
I'm not down with that. The steroid thing and Andy Pettit and, misremembering and Roger Clemens.
Right.
That was all obvious stuff. I think, Pettit came out and said he was doing steroids.
Right.
I think Roger Clemens was doing it. Steroids is a whole other issue than this.
Right.
It's just a horse of a different color, but they're still cheating horses.
Right.
And as much as I obviously love the Red Sox, and so do you now.
Yeah.
I hate to see cheating. And this is what gets me. Pete Rose comes out today. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Where's my story on Pete Rose? Pete Rose says, yeah, I cheated too, but I didn't taint the game. Yeah, you did. The Dowd report said you bet on your team. You lied about betting. Then you lied about betting on your team. Then you lied about betting against your team. The Dowd report said you did all three of those. Exactly. And how did you not? Even if you bet on your team, you're screwing with the integrity of the game because you have inside information and you're the manager. So you have direct play and direct influence on the outcome of that game. So real quick, another Vegas story. I was out in Vegas 3 years ago. I mean, I'm out there all the time, but I was out there 3 years ago. I'm going through Mandalay Bay at like 10 in the morning, and they have a mall there, a huge mall inside there.
Right.
And there was nobody there. It was me and like 5 other people in the whole mall.
Right.
And I walked back by this sports memorabilia place, and I love memorabilia. I've been collecting it for like 30 years now. And I see a sign, and it says, celebrity autographs given today. And there was 2 kids that had to be like 15 because their face looked like a pepperoni pizza. They had zits all over. Probably didn't even know who Pete Rose was. And they said, come on in. They're waving to me. Come on in. Meet a Hall of Famer legend. Not Hall of Famer, but, great baseball player, Pete Rose. And I looked in, and Pete Rose is sitting there at a little fold-up table on his phone.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'm going to go in there anyway because I buy memorabilia. And I went in there, and I went up to the owner, and I said, there was nobody in the store. Right. 6 employees, 2 assistants with Pete Rose. Pete Rose is sitting down. Nobody else in there, no other clients. And I said, hey, do you mind if I go ask Pete Rose a question? He goes, yeah. And I had been talking to him for a couple minutes about memorabilia and stuff that I'm into and all that. And he goes, yeah, go ahead. So I go over there and I say, hey, Mr. Rose, I really appreciate you as a great player. And I think that you were awesome. And do you mind if I ask you a question? He gets off his phone, he looks up, and he goes, yeah. And I go, well, who do you think were some of the greatest hitters in your era besides yourself, who I have a lot of respect for? And he goes, what the bleep kind of question is that? I'm like, hey, dude, you're 65 years old sitting in a mall in December at 10 a.m. and you're going off on me. I just told you I had a lot of respect for you, and you're going to start cursing at me, telling me I got a stupid question for you? You're sitting in a mall making like $300 the next hour signing baseballs. And then he kind of mellowed out, and he's like, look, I played with Duke Snyder, and he started kind of name dropping and, all these stuff. And then he kind of mellowed out on me. But the fact that he came at me like that, I was like, dude, you're not even getting in the Hall of Fame ever because if you had just told the truth the first time, you might have had a chance to get in there. Like Bart Giamatti might have had grace from on high. But no, you had to lie, and then you get caught. And then you have to lie about betting on your team. First you lie about betting, and then we find out that you are betting. And then it was, well, I didn't bet on my team or against them. I just bet on other teams. And then we find out that you were betting on your team. And you say, yeah, but I never bet against them. And then the Dowd report comes out, and you're betting against your team, for your team, on everything. And, it just, like, he was here, and now he's down here. And that's why I have the black ball. He was blackballed by the Hall of Fame. That's a ball from the Hall of Fame that's black that he signed. And I've actually seen dozens of balls that Pete Rose has signed with my own eyes. And he says, I'm sorry I bet on baseball, Pete Rose. And he signs it like that.
Well, poor Pete.
Yeah, well, now poor A.J. Hinch, poor Jeff Ludow, and Alex Cora. So they're out. And speaking of out, we're out of Major League Baseball. We're into the NFL. Some big games going on this weekend. I want to get it started with Tennessee at Kansas City. Arrowhead, 2 years in a row, AFC Championship game, given 7.5 points. And I've got to tell you, Chris, when I look at this lineup, I'm thinking this is 2 of the most bipolar teams that are meeting. And I was telling people that today, and they were like, what are you talking about? Kansas City's got an awesome offense. Yeah, they do. This is why I think they're bipolar. 3 out of their 4 losses this year, Kansas City, were at home. The one game that they lost was on the road to who? Tennessee. They lost. Here's the last 6 games. If Kansas City fans today, I'm on the internet, I'm putting stuff out. No, we've won 6 in a row. Yeah, you won 6 in a row. You know who you won them against? Chicago, the Raiders, at New England, Denver, and you played the Chargers twice. So a bunch of bottom dwellers, except the Patriots who made the playoffs. None of those teams made the playoffs except the Pats. You played the Chargers twice, Chicago, Denver, and the Raiders. And you're talking to me about what a hot streak you're on because you won your last 6 games. I'm not impressed by that. Here's the thing about Tennessee. Tennessee's completely bipolar. They had losses this year. Oh, they're dominant. They found their stride. They might have found their stride, but I don't know what I'm getting on Sunday, and here's why. Losses to Carolina, never should have lost that game. Denver. My poor grandmother's been dead for 10 years. I dig her up now and put a football in her hand. She beats Denver this weekend. That's how bad they were. I think they're set up for next year, but this year, they were terrible. The Bills, okay, that was a solid one. You lost there. And the Colts and the Jags. Can't be losing to the Colts, Jags, Denver, and Carolina and tell me that you're not bipolar.
Well, I mean, just looking at their record, Tennessee is what 9-2 since Tannehill took over.
Right,
I mean,
peaking at the right time,
including the playoffs.
But that's not Tannehill.
I mean, just including the playoffs. I mean, ever since this guy's taken over, I mean, you got to think. I mean, you had Marcus Mariota in there who, just wasn't getting it done.
Right.
But, I mean, with Tannehill, in a sense, brought, I guess, a little bit of stability to that quarterback position, in a sense, even though he's probably averaging like 100 yards a game.
Right. So is it a Tannehill as being so awesome and he solidified the offense, or they went from a guy that wasn't doing it at dual threat and went with the pocket quarterback, and it's a Mike Vrabel system move and not a player position move? Because Tannehill, to me, is like, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 18 if I'm ranking him in the NFL quarterbacks right now.
I mean, Tannehill does just enough for them.
He's a game manager, and he's a C- game manager at that.
I mean, yeah, he does just enough to get it done. I mean, he just, sucks the defense in, if he, because they're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry. They're going to run the ball. So, if he's able to get that one play action pass like he did the other night where he had a 45-yard touchdown, okay, that's exactly what we need him to do. Get that one play just to keep the defense honest. Now, when it comes down to Kansas City, I think that, Kansas City, they're getting healthy at the right time on offense. I mean, I still think they have too much offense for Tennessee. I mean, with Travis Kelce. You have Hardeman returning kicks. I just think they have too much weapons. Tyreek Hill, yeah.
Sammy Watkins on the outside.
Just too many weapons.
Yeah, I think you just took the words right out of my mouth, Chris. I think KC has got too many weapons. And if you can't, you're the third team now. First of all, this is Tennessee's third game on the road. And if you can't figure out how to stop Derrick Henry at this point, then, Andy Reid being this awesome coach who has never won a Super Bowl. Never won one. Okay, so it's really hard to win one, and then it shows you how hard it is to win 6, like Bill Belichick. But I think Andy Reid's a good coach. I don't think he's in this pantheon of, like, Mount Rushmore coaches. If you can't figure out how to stop Derrick Henry in this game, you do not deserve to show up in the Super Bowl this year, playing next year, and you might be on double secret NFL man card probation the year after that. All you have to do is stop the running game. You put 11 guys in the box, even if it means you leave all their wide receivers wide open. That's how dedicated you have to be to stopping Tennessee's run, and you will win the game. I'm taking Tennessee on a money line. I'm not laying the 7.5 points. I think that's too much for two teams that are completely bipolar. And in an NFL season in playoffs where this year it's been like, Tennessee is just, they beat the Patriots. I called that one. I saw it happening. No one saw them beating Baltimore in Baltimore. I don't know what I'm going to get out of this game. I think KC, like you said, has too many weapons. I'm taking KC straight up to win the game. Who do you have on this pick?
I have KC. I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if KC blows the doors off of them like they did Texas last week. I mean, they just have too many weapons, and they hit that switch, and it's next thing you know, it's like you're down by 35 points.
Right. They outscored Houston, who jumped up 24-0. They outscored them 51-7. I mean, when's the last time you heard a number like that in the NFL?
You've never heard a number like that. I mean, they scored so many points last week, they ran out of fireworks. They literally ran out of fireworks scoring touchdowns. So that is
the best thing that you have said. You can take the hat off. You've earned your stripes. You don't have to wear the Red Sox hat just because that was so good. Let's go look at you. You couldn't get that thing off fast enough. Don't put it on the ground. Give it to me. There you go. There you go. Here, we'll put it right here. So, okay, you got the helmet up. Let's go to the NFC Championship game at Levi Stadium. Okay. The last time we said this, we said it was at Candlestick. It no longer is. Green Bay comes in there with, I think, a really good offense and a good enough defense. Right. But with San Francisco, you've got a really good offense and a really good defense. San Francisco laying 7.5 points. Here's my thing. I'm worried about Green Bay's offense. Aaron Rodgers is 36 years old. He's not as mobile as he used to be. He's still one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, but he rushed for 183 yards this year total. Yeah. It's about 4 yards a carry. When I looked it up today, 4 yards a carry. He got sacked 36 times. Yeah. He's only running if he has to. Now, the first thing that all the Green Bay fans are going to say is, well, we've got running back Aaron Jones who went for 1,100 yards and 16 touchdowns. And I think that's great. I think he's a solid back. I don't think they have a very good backup. It's either him or nothing. And if Rodgers has to run, he's sliding. If you've noticed, he's sliding a lot or getting out of bounds. If he can't get out of bounds, he's just going to go down, and I think that's a smart move. But my concern, again, is with the offense. If you stop the run, who are you throwing to? They've got Devontae Adams. He just barely almost got 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns this year. And then who else? Alan Lazard. I mean, that name doesn't threaten me. 477 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jimmy Graham, he had a good game last weekend. But, again, 38 receptions, 3 touchdowns this year. I mean, these guys aren't blowing my doors off. Geronimo Allison, he only had 300 yards and 2 touchdowns. So where is the offense going to come from passing? If I shut you down, like I think that Kyle Shanahan's going to do, I think he's going to put 7 or 8 in the box. He's going to shut down that run game, and he's going to make the Green Bay Packers pass the ball. He's going to make Aaron Rodgers beat him. And with that front 4 up there, I mean, they're deep. The defense on the side for the 49ers is sick. 36 sacks takes a toll on you. He's 36 years old right now. He's still one of the best, most effective, dangerous, smart quarterbacks in the NFL. But my whole game is to stuff the box, stop the run, and get pressure on Aaron Rodgers and shut him down. And I think San Francisco gets the win.
I went with Green Bay last week, and the reason I went with Green Bay last week is because Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's a system quarterback now. He's not the ad lib run around gunslinger that Brett Favre used to be. He's not that guy anymore. But last week he showed me, if you give him time, he will pick you apart.
Right, but he'll pick you apart at home against Seattle's defense, which was a middle of the road defense. This isn't Legion of Boom, and now he's going on the road against a defense that is way superior to what Seattle has.
But you have to understand too, Ron. I mean, Devontae Adams missed some time this season. So, of course, Aaron Rodgers' numbers are going to be skewed,
Well, Aaron Rodgers still threw for 4,000. I just don't know in this game who he's going to go to.
Well, I still think that Devontae Adams will be able to get open. I think Jimmy Graham is going to play a bigger role. And I do believe Aaron Jones as well, because you could put him out there in the slot that's going to actually move a linebacker out. And I don't think a linebacker is going to be able to cover him if they move him out to the slot. So, I think Green Bay still, they are able to do things with their offense to manipulate their defense to give Rodgers, a chance to run this offense.
I appreciate what you're saying, and I agree with some of it. But here's my point with this game. I think that unless Jimmy Garoppolo has a galactic mind melt and throws a bunch of pick sixes, interceptions, and turns the ball over, which he doesn't need to do, they've got just a good enough running game. They've got a better than decent passing game. I think that defense is really going to be where San Francisco makes their hay. And I think that being on the road, having to travel, they had a super emotional game last week where they pulled it out in the fourth quarter. I think it's going to be a little bit too much for Green Bay. I'm taking San Francisco and Kansas City on a parlay, money line bet, and my team, the San Francisco 49ers that I picked to go to the Super Bowl, are on their way to Miami. Who's your pick? 7.5 points on this line. I'm not giving 7.5.
I'm gonna actually go with Green Bay simply because
Green Bay to win, Green Bay to cover.
I'm going with Green Bay to win this game. Because I still have questions with Jimmy Garoppolo, even though yes, this defense is
right. I do too.
Is great.
Right.
This is a great defense, and again, if you're able to stop that run, can Jimmy Garoppolo pass his way to a victory to go to the Super Bowl? I don't know that. I know Aaron Rodgers can.
Confidence level 1 to 10. 10, absolute metaphysical certitude they win the game. 1, you're not too confident, but you're still picking Green Bay. Where is it 1 to 10?
My confidence level with Green Bay, I'm gonna give it a 5.
A 5. Okay.
5, yeah.
You want to go a starter hat on this? I'll take San Francisco straight up. Whoever loses owes the other guy a hat.
All right, we'll do.
Okay, I want a New England hat. I want it Sunday. Just order it now because this is locked. Other NFL news: star, standout, character guy, player guy, Luke Kuechly, linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, calls it quits. He retires. This isn't the first time we've seen this. Andrew Luck pulls out at the beginning of the year, way before his prime is due. Rob Gronkowski pulls out, still probably had 3 or 4 solid, dominant years left. How about Chris Long with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yeah.
Had a lot of tread on the tire with him still. He pulls out. Brian Orakpo with Tennessee. He decided to go make cupcakes. He retired before 33. All these guys, we're seeing this trend of younger guys and younger guys that are in their prime where they can make millions and millions of dollars still, pulling out early. I say great job to Luke Kuechly. He made a decision that was based on the values and the worldviews that he has and how his body, his health, his mental sanity. Maybe this is a CTE thing. He's made enough money. I never question, doubt, put down guys that walk away early. If they've managed their money right, that's fine. Even if they haven't and they want to go into some other endeavor, it's great for them. I think he's a stand-up character guy on the field and off the field. Character-wise, performance-wise, it's shocking that he walked away, but I don't have anything bad to say about the guy.
I don't have anything, as far as Luke Kuechly walking away. I think it was a great move for him. I mean, he's missed, 10 games due to concussions. And, he's had over 10 concussions. And, the fact that he's walking away, I can commend him for that. I mean, just simply looking at, the dangers of CTE and how the effects that it has on people later on in life. You look at players like Junior Seau, who continued to play and had a long career.
Yep.
And so you look at those players that's continued to battle in those trenches with CTE, and I mean, I don't blame him for walking away at all.
One of these days, I'm going to tell you a killer Junior Seau story when I was up at UCSD and he was playing there, and I was with Extra. Remind me one day. Jason Garrett gets an interview for the offensive coordinator position with the G-Men in New York. I don't know. I mean, if they bring him on, that's fine. He didn't blow me away with whatever he was doing at Dallas for the last 10 years with 2 playoff appearances. That's a joke. I think the real problem there is Dave Gettleman. I mean, why do you fire Pat Shurmur and you don't get the GM out of there that caused all the problems? They should have gone after and gotten, Sam Darnold or a quarterback to replace Eli. You wait too long. They got Saquon Barkley, who's a great player, but I don't know if Daniel Jones is the answer. I mean, there was a lot of hype in the preseason, but that's why it's called preseason. In the regular season, I don't see that guy, developing right now. It's year 1. That's fine. I understand. But there were other quarterbacks out there. I thought it was a bit of a stretch at 6. And we'll see what he does there. I'm sure they're going to pick him up. And good luck to Jason Garrett with that. And on to Antonio Brown. And before I say anything about what actually happened, and most of you out there, I'm sure, have seen the social media video on this, I'm going to start this by saying one thing, Chris. I am sad for Antonio Brown. I think he has mental health issues at this point. I was going to write down the adjectives that I saw on social media today, and I got emotional because to see somebody that's been blessed with so much talent and he's had the opportunity to make so much money to go so far south so fast, and to see this video that came out, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, where is the inner circle of integrity that is supposed to be protecting this guy? And the main problem that I think that it is with Antonio Brown is one word: pride. It's pride. You make a ton of money and inside your house and go on a 5-minute curse-laden N-word using tirade with Hollywood police standing there in front of your kids, in front of their mom, in front of people that serve and protect our communities. And it just blew me away. It got me really sad because of pride. And pride builds that wall around you because you don't want to let people in. You got to protect yourself. And that's exactly what's defeating Antonio Brown right now, is that protective wall that he thinks he has protecting him isn't allowing the voice of reason to step in and say, look, you've got more money than 10 generations need. Let's get you healthy up here. Let's fix what's in here. Get your soul right. Get your spirit right. Get your mind right. Going off on police officers in front of your kids, using every word that you could possibly use that cannot be said on terrestrial radio. Calling cops the N-word. It's absolutely sad. It's discouraging. I hate to see it happen to any human being, but I'm not making a joke out of any of this. I really think that he's at a point where if anyone cares about this guy and his family, extended family, former players that he used to play with, anybody that cares about this guy on this planet needs to get mental health evaluation done on him, because no one in their right mind acts like this, Chris. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of emotional right now just talking about it because I want to care about people, but he's so far out. Sometimes when people get to this length, Chris, you don't know how to reach him.
Well, I'm gonna take a different approach. I'm going to be more empathetic towards Antonio Brown.
I'm totally I want him to get help.
Okay, but I'm gonna take a different approach. Just diving into some of the stuff that's happened to him. I was listening to him and looking at some of his social media, and a lot of people don't know that Antonio Brown was once shot. And growing up in those type of environments that he grew up in, a lot of times people develop a PTSD type of things. And a lot of times, people are hurt. And right now, I think Antonio Brown is hurting because, there's an old saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
And I think right now he's really hurting. I think this is more of a cry for help, unfortunately.
That he doesn't realize.
That he doesn't realize, and he doesn't know how to actually get the type of help that he needs. I think that he's probably is a stand-up guy, but he's just having issues that he really needs. As you said, he really needs to get help with. Sometimes it is going to take an intervention with family. I think somebody that he respects needs to put him to the side and be like, hey, bro, it's time for you to go hiding somewhere. So and just get your mind right. So I'm sorry that he's going through it. I'm praying for the brother, and I hope he gets it right.
So you and I get amplified about stuff sometimes because we're passionate about sports. We have strong opinions, and sometimes we go into it, a little bit, which is fine, and sometimes it's healthy as long as we stay respectful about it. But did you think that I was character attacking him or marginalizing him? Because my heart is I'm telling you, I'm getting emotional talking about it because I feel sad for another human being on this planet. I don't even care the reason why he's in the position he is. I think that the position he's in right now, he's not healthy enough mentally to know that he needs help.
Well, I'm just speaking from it from personal experience, growing up in a situation like that where you see things or things happen to you, and a lot of times you do things and you're crying out for help. Maybe somebody sees that and throw a life preserver out or something out to help reel you in.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, I was able to have family members and friends who were able to reel me in. But it's unfortunate in his case he really doesn't. So that's why I'm able to look at it look at it from a different point of view.
I agree with everything you've said. I'm not putting down Antonio Brown in any way, shape, or form. My heart is sad that he's in this position because he's just he's exactly like me and you and Ray Boom Boom. He's another human being on this planet that's trying to find his way, but I think he's so jacked up because of whatever it is. I don't know, and it's not my place to know. I don't claim to know. I don't even care why he's jacked up. I hope he gets the help to get unjacked up and heal his heart, heal his spirit, heal his mind, and get in a place where he has peace. Yeah. That's what I wish for Antonio Brown. Not to get back in the NFL or make millions more dollars or regrow his brand. Yeah. I wish peace for Antonio Brown, and we'll leave it right there. Moving on to our last news in the NFL. So, Chris, you've had to have heard since 2 weeks ago when the Tennessee Titans go into Gillette and beat my beloved Patriots. Yeah. Everything starts swirling. The dynasty's over, and Tom's not coming back. Well, guess what happened at Gillette Stadium yesterday? So when they have home games, Giselle, their kids, sometimes Robert Kraft, they have a suite there just for the family. Yeah. Could be Tom's mom. It's definitely always Giselle and their children, but it could be anybody else. Right. They cleaned out the suite at Gillette yesterday, which probably isn't a flash news to most people listening. It's not breaking news, but you put that in with one, he's a free agent. He hasn't signed a contract. He could have at any point this season. Free agent, hasn't signed a contract. Moved all the stuff out of the suite at Gillette. Sold his house in East Massachusetts. Bought a new house in Connecticut. On top of that, he's very non-committal about being with the Patriots next year. And his trainer, who started TB12 with him in Boston, also sold his Massachusetts-based house and has moved. Yeah. Now, I'm an objective New England Patriot fan. I'm not a myopic fan. Could I see him going to another team? Yes. Is that going to create a huge problem at quarterback for the Patriots? Yes, I do. I think that's going to be a huge problem. But where is he going to go, and what's the upside at this point in your career? Because I think if he goes, he is going to become a target and a hated guy in Patriot Nation. So let's talk about the first question first. If he leaves, who are some of the candidates to come in and take his place? I'll throw some names around at you, and stop me when I say a name of a free agent that's out there right now on the street, available to the New England Patriots at quarterback, that would be better than Tom Brady coming back to a place he knows, a system he knows, a lot of players he knows, and to an offensive coordinator who is now committed for 2020 to stay there that he knows. Ready? Oh. Okay. Eli Manning.
Negative.
Phillip Rivers at 39 years old.
Negative.
Jameis Winston.
Negative.
Marcus Mariota.
Negative.
Case Keenum.
Negative.
Colt McCoy.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Who? Hey, I'm just going to go rapid fire now. A.J. McCarron, Ryan Tannehill, Blake Bortles. There's a reason why Jacksonville got rid of Blake Bortles. I don't want to go into it, but I just had a beer. Mike Glennon, Andy Dalton. How about Andy Dalton? I actually heard somebody that you and I don't like on ESPN today suggesting Andy Dalton go to the New England Patriots. Let me tell you why that doesn't work. First of all, he sucks. Okay, that's the first thing. Second of all, he's got a $17 million cap hit on his salary. Why are they going to pick that nonsense up? Here's the other name that's out there that I think would be intriguing if Tom Brady goes someplace else. How about Teddy Bridgewater?
Yeah.
He's going to be looking for about $8 to $10 million. That's cap friendly. And out of everybody that I just listed, I would have Teddy Bridgewater at number one.
Yeah, I mean, Teddy Bridgewater will definitely be number one on a lot of people's list. I've heard Teddy Bridgewater actually being on the list for the Carolina Panthers as well. Okay. So, he's definitely going to be high. Yeah.
They could just keep developing Jarrett Stidham, second-year guy out of Auburn, who at the beginning of the season had a lot of upside. There was a lot of talk.
Right.
But talk means nothing.
Well, especially preseason.
Okay, so let's just say they keep Jarrett Stidham and they want to bring in somebody outside the family. Where are you going? Because to me, Teddy Bridgewater is the only person on that list that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Teddy Bridgewater will be a great bridging quarterback, if that's what they want to do. I think so.
Eli Manning? Marcus Mariota, Case Keenum? I can't. I mean, that list is going to drive me nuts. I mean, I can't. That's all there is to it. I can't. Let's go to the top 10 teams in the way too early. Top 10 college football teams. Do you have... I'll let you chime in on this. Next year, at the beginning of the season, who are my top 10? I'm going to start at 10. I'm going to go real quick. All right. I think Bo Nix matures. I think the defense stays solid. I think the offense gets better. I've got Auburn at number 10.
Solid.
Quick thoughts.
Solid.
Okay. Number 9, Oklahoma. They got to replace Jalen Hurts. They got to replace CeeDee Lamb. They got to replace 2 of their offensive linemen. Lincoln Riley is staying there. I think this defense is going to be better. And what have they done the last 3 years? Better than anybody else in the country. Replace quarterbacks. I've got Oklahoma at number 9.
Okay.
All right. Penn State, number 8. Their defense is solid. Their number 1 defensive player that's going in the draft, their number 2 guy is going to be there next year. Their quarterback is going to be there next year. They lose KJ Hamlin to the NFL draft. But most of the offense is going to be in place. I think James Franklin is one of the top 10 best coaches in college football. I've got Penn State at number 8.
Okay.
All right. Number 7, Florida. Now, this could be interchangeable from 7 to 10, but I put them at 7. Here's my concerns with my alma mater, the Florida Gators, at 7. Lost too much at wide receiver. LaMichael Pirine, their running back, who they didn't even use enough, I didn't think, is gone. He's going to go to the NFL. Zuniga and Jonathan Grenard and Reese, their linebacker, are all gone. I think they're losing way too much on offense. I think the defense will be solid, but they've got to find some answers that Trask can throw to. I'm still putting them at 7.
I actually think Florida will probably be a little higher. To me, they'd be higher.
To start the season?
To start the season.
Where do you see who's ahead of them?
Good.
Okay, Oregon. I got number 6, I got Georgia. Okay? Georgia's going to have a lights-out defense. They're going to have a top 5 defense next year. Here's my problem with putting Georgia any higher than this, because I know right now all the Georgia fans in the Twitter sphere are going to start blowing up at the first round 1 on Twitter. Here's why they shouldn't blow it up. I am super concerned with Kirby and the offense. You're losing your quarterback. I don't want to hear about Jamie Newman. He has done nothing for me. I know he's the transfer for Wake Forest. I am not impressed with that move. And you're losing DeAndre Swift. You're losing a bunch of your top wide receiver. I think they're losing too much on offense. The defense isn't enough to get there. And believe it or not, losing Rodrigo Blankenship as a kicker who's automatic is a big deal. If Kirby can't get this offense fixed, especially with their schedule in the first, they play Virginia and go on the road to Alabama in the first month of the season.
Yeah.
So I got them at 6. Number 5. You got one guess. You got 5 seconds. Who's at 5?
Ooh.
Start the season next year.
5 next year?
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Come on. 3, 2, 1, go.
No.
Oregon. I know they lose Justin Herbert, but listen, they had the 39th best offense. They had the 22nd best defense in the country. And their number 1 offensive lineman is coming back. Most of their defense is coming back. And this is the reason I put them at number 5. I believe in Mario Cristobal. I think he's got it turned around. I think he's a solid guy. I think that just what they did in the Rose Bowl has convinced me that he's got them going in the right direction. I've got Oregon at number 5. Number 4, LSU. LSU is going to lose Jay Burrow. They're going to lose a bunch of stuff on offense. They're going to lose their top safety. They're going to lose 2 of their defensive linemen. I think that they're so loaded there that they still start the season ranked with Ed Orgeron, who has turned that around. And you can say, well, they lost Joe Brady. Okay, they'll replace an offensive coordinator. There's a lot of them out there, and anybody would want that job right now. I've got LSU at 4. Number 3 team in the country preseason top for 2020, starting in August. Alabama.
Yeah.
I know what people are going to say. They lost their number 1 wide receiver. They lost Tua Tagovailoa. They lost Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones stepped in and did great. Here's who else is coming back. I think Najee Harris is going to come back.
Yeah, he is coming back. He announced he's coming back.
Was that today?
Yeah.
Okay, so Najee Harris is coming back. I thought he would. You know who else is coming back that I'm really impressed with? Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
Anybody know him?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that him coming back, that is going to be a whale of a game in Tuscaloosa. I think the 17th or 19th of September when Georgia comes calling, we're going to find out who's real in the SEC, and it might be Georgia, but they got to get that offense fixed. Number 2 team in the country, starting the season, Ohio State. Master Teague is back at running back.
Yeah.
He's all the running back that J.K. Dobbins was, just didn't get the playing time. Wide receiver Chris Olave is coming back. And you got Justin Fields coming back, who I think was the second best quarterback in the country. I think Ryan Day has proved himself in his first year after Urban Meyer left. I think that they're just one of those blue blood teams that's just loaded. They're going to lose some players to the draft. Okay, so what? Who's next? We're on to whoever. And they have to go to Autzen Stadium one of the first 2 weeks in September to start their season.
Yeah.
I think they get the win at Oregon, but I think that they're super solid. I think they're going to be the number 2 team. And my number 1 team, way too early for top 20,
Clemson.
It's got to be Clemson because Justin Ross comes back. You're going to have the same coach. You're going to have the same defensive coordinator. Half your offensive line is coming back. Most of your defensive line is coming back. Your linebackers are coming back except for one of them. Trevor Lawrence is coming back. They already know how to win. And we had this talk the other night. Who's going to challenge them in the ACC? Let's just go down the list. NC State? I don't think so. Boston College has a new coach. Steve Adazio is out. I don't think they're going to be a factor. Florida State might be better, but they're not on Clemson's level. Miami? No. I mean, they can't even put up a score against Louisiana Tech, a directional school, in their bowl game. No. Georgia Tech?
No.
Louisville?
No.
I mean, I'm just going down the list here of, the teams in the ACC. So who's going to challenge them? Nobody. It's going to be a cakewalk to the ACC championship, which gives any of the new players that they have a defensive lineman that's coming in right now. Seriously, he's going to get some Heisman run. As a freshman player, he's so dominant. I wish I could remember his name. I was watching the highlights on him today. I mean, I can only remember about 9 million things about sports, and that's not one of them. I think they're super solid. I think they're the preseason number 1. Clemson.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're bringing it back. They're bringing back, basically their quarterback, which is big. And I believe Trevor Lawrence, he's definitely going to be, amped up after this loss on Monday night. And I think he has a chip on the shoulder, he's going to have something to prove.
Only one lost game in the last 30 games for him. That's amazing. Let's wrap up the show. MMA, UFC 246, Conor McGregor. You see the flag?
I see.
You see the shirt?
I see.
The Irish red hair coming out. Conor McGregor against Cowboy Cerrone. Here's my prediction. I said on Wednesday's show, I'm going to give my prediction. I think that Conor comes back. I think he's motivated. I think that nobody can take that left hand of his. The only way Cowboy keeps this competitive and has a chance to win, he's got to string it out, get it into the 4th and 5th rounds, tire Conor out with his cardio. That's the questionable thing when it comes to Conor McGregor. I think it's going to be lights out. Conor's going to put on a show. I think Conor McGregor gets the win in Vegas Saturday night.
I think Conor's going to win. I think Conor's going to win the second round knockout. Second round knockout.
Is it going to be too much for Donald?
Yeah, I just think he has something to prove, especially after the last fight with Khabib, where he came back and he just didn't have a good showing. I think he's going to come back and have something to prove, and I just think he's going to knock him out second round.
So let's talk real quick about February 8th, UFC 247, John Jones against Dominic Reyes. Have you seen Reyes fight? He's 12-0. His last fight was against Chris Weidman.
Okay.
And first round just destroyed him. He looked impressive. He's 12-0. The problem is John Jones is way more impressive. He's 25-1. He's the champion for a reason. He's got an 8-inch reach advantage on Reyes. And as pumped up as Reyes can be and ready, everybody's ready going into a championship fight. Not all survive. I like John Jones. I'm hyped for this fight because I think Dominic Reyes is a quality contender. I just don't know if there's enough ammunition in the gun. I like John Jones in this one. We could talk about more as we get closer to that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to think John Jones is just like the perfect competitor. I mean, the guy, he can grapple with you. He can strike. He can kick. I mean, this guy is just like the perfect all-around fighter.
Yeah. My concern with John Jones is the last couple fights, he's kind of taken it lackadaisical a little bit. He hasn't looked dominant, impressive, blowout, but I think he's going to be ready for this. He needs to be ready for this because I'm telling you right now, Dominic Reyes at light heavyweight, 12-0, he's going to be ready for this. Chris, what else is going on in the world of sports, my man?
Well, shout out to the ladies from the WNBA for actually completing their CBA. They came to an agreement. Now the ladies from the WNBA will be making, the highest players can make upwards to $500,000. And, the salary has now bumped up from the minimum of $130,000 up to $215 million. And then, Ron, I have a question for you, too. Okay. Remember the whole Khalil Mack situation where he donated all the money to the Walmart to pay off the layaways, right?
Right.
Well, Walmart, it seems like Walmart has found a way to misappropriate that money. So the layaways came up to $60,000 and Khalil Mack donated $80,000. So there's a $20,000 left over.
Which should go to some charitable organization. Roll over.
Well, guess what Walmart decided to do?
No, I have no idea.
They gave it to their workers and allowed their workers to purchase things from Walmart. What would you have done in that situation?
Give it to another charitable organization. They gave it to their employees to do what?
To actually make purchases.
I mean, you're making so much money. What the heck? What do you think? I mean, it's not even like, what are you thinking? It's like, are you thinking? You're obviously not thinking. Why would Walmart do that?
I don't know, man.
I can't even. There's no place in my head.
Violations left and right there, buddy.
That's crazy. The only thing crazier than that is the music that I hear in my ear right now. That music can mean only one thing. It's time to thank our support staff. The man on the board, Ray Boom Boom Mancini, my co-host here, Chris Roberts, El Presidente Chet 40, for all of us here in the St. Jude studios in the first round. Thank you for subscribing. Tell all your friends about how great the production here is and the content. Help grow the first round to epic proportions. We want to thank all of our brand new subscribers out there. And join us Sunday at our new time, 6 o'clock. We're going to be right here breaking down all the NFL games, everything else going on in the world of sports. Until then, take care, everybody.